The Emergency Committee for Rojava condemns the attacks against the HDP in Turkey. This week, 108 deputies, mayors, and co-chairs of the HDP will stand trial in Ankara in the Kobani case. Since 2016, over 10,000 HDP members have been imprisoned, and some 6,000 are still in prison today, and the party is facing closure at the hands of the Turkish Constitutional Court. Turkey's attack on the HDP is an attack on democracy. The Emergency Committee for Rojava asks all charges against the HDP members to be dropped and all municipal governments occupied by the Turkish state to be rightfully returned to the HDP.
HDP stands for women's rights. Its fight for the Istanbul Convention, its emphasis on women's representation, and system of co-chairs are guarantors of women's rights and equality. Sahra Free Women's Collective condemned the closure of HDP by the Turkish state.
We, the American Kurdish Association, send our solidarity to all those facing indictment on 26 April regarding the Kobani protests that took place October 6 to 8, 2014, in what we consider to be a political show trial and an affront to democracy and the rule of law. We condemn the closure of HDP by the Turkish police state. Biji bar Khodane HDP.
HDP stands with the LGBT community. It's the only political party fighting violence perpetrated against LGBT people and their civil and political rights. All charges against its elected officials and members must be dropped.
HDP is the last remaining hope for democracy in Turkey. Drop all charges now against its elected officials and its members.
HDP stands with workers. HDP sides with labor against capital and voices the politics of millions of working people. Drop all charges against its elected officials and members.
HDP stands for women's rights. Its fight for Istanbul Convention, its emphasis on women's representation and system of co-chairs are guarantors of women's rights and equality. Ruki proč at HDP.
HDP is the last remaining hope for democracy in Turkey. Drop all charges against its elected officials and members.
HDP defends the rights of all ethnic and religious minorities who have faced genocides and policies of dispossession and assimilation in Turkey. All charges against HDP elected officials and members must be dropped.
HDP represents the will of millions of Kurdish people. All HDP municipal governments now occupied by state-appointed cronies must be returned, and all charges against its elected officials and members must be dropped. Stand with HDP and democracy.
HDP stands with the LGBT community. It is the only political party fighting violence perpetrated against LGBTQ people and their civil and political rights. All charges against its elected officials and members must be dropped.
HDP defends the rights of all ethnic and religious minorities who face genocides and policies of dispossession and assimilation in Turkey. All charges against HDP elected officials and members must be dropped.
HDP stands for environmental justice. It has joined struggles of environmentalist activists fighting against capitalist projects hurting rivers, mountains, and the health of all living beings all around Turkey. Drop all charges against HDP elected officials and members.
HDP is the last remaining hope for democracy in Turkey. Drop all charges against its officials and members. HDP mavdare. Lejem gelixeye. Jiberviyeke kesnikare HDP darazine.
The HDP represents the votes of 6 million people in Turkey. Attacks against the HDP are attacks against democracy. Drop the charges. Solidarity with HDP.